Trimming your young puppy's nails can tend to be a little bit of a challenge, but we want to set them up for success right from the beginning. And there's 4 key stages that I'm going to work through today with Pontiac Bandit here to make sure that he's comfortable with that nail trimming, because what it comes down to is not getting those nails trimmed. It's about building that relationship and trust. I'm Instructor Rob. Welcome back to McCann Dogs. So one of the most challenging things with a new puppy is getting their nails trimmed, and they're going to have to trim their dog's nails quite frequently. I try to do it once a week with my dogs. But the thing is, you need to prep your dog a little bit first to get them comfortable, 1, with their handling, and 2, just comfortable with the situation, because it can be a little bit traumatic for some dogs. One of the first things that you want to do is just get your dog comfortable with the environment. A lot of dogs' nails, when they're a little bit longer, kind of scrape on that floor and a little bit slippery. I like to try and use a little bit of carpet. I keep him down on the floor because it's a little bit easier for me, especially when I'm cutting nails or trimming nails myself, where I can just cradle him in at my side and work one paw at a time. You may have someone help you a little bit while you're holding your dog, again, getting them first comfortable with your holding or holding their paws, and someone else can reward your dog as well. Makes that a little bit easier. And then I have a few other toys out too, just in case they've got too much energy. Just to begin with, we can work a little bit of tug. He likes to chew on his bone here, so first thing I can do too is utilizing that chew toy and bringing him in. He's distracted by that chew toy. And I spend a lot of time handling him long before I'm even going to attempt to trim those nails. And when we first start with that little bit of handling, I'll use that food too, where I'm touching his paw, and then I'm rewarding with food. And sometimes if the dogs are a little bit new for your dog, I want to put that food on their nose first, then take hold of that paw, and I'm taking it pretty firm. I'm not just kind of touching it, I'm holding it properly. And as long as he's not wiggling or uncomfortable about it, I'm just going to continue to reward him. The food takes his mind off the fact that he's being touched. It's no real big deal that he's going to start to get used to this. The biggest thing is spending some time with the handling with your dog, the front paws, even their ears. You can take hold of their ear. All this handling is going to help down the road, because your dog is going to have to go to the groomers. They're going to have to go to the vets, and you want them to be comfortable with people's hands on them. I'm using that food as a distraction, so he doesn't really think too much about that my hands are on his paws. And then over time, I'll need a little bit less food, and he's quite comfortable with all that handling. Now, your dog might not be as comfortable as Bandit is here, but I've spent a lot of time already since I got him home working that handling. First thing you want to do is make sure you get your house line on. That way your dog can't get too far away from you. They may nip and bite at you when you first take hold of their paw, or they may try to run away or squirm away. First thing to really think about is getting them comfortable and not pushing it too much. You may only get a little bit of food just on their nose and just doing a little bit petting down their leg a little bit one day. It's really important that they're quite comfortable with your handling, and you need to take that time. The next thing you want to do is start to introduce the tools for your dog. Right today, I've got a little pair of scissors, because I'm going to have to trim between his paws when he gets a little bit older, to just get little fluff. And I've got my scissor clippers right here, if I can hang on to them properly. And these actually don't make any sound. That's just why I brought these other scissors today, because you also want them to be comfortable with the sound in the environment as well. First, I'm going to just start with the clippers alone, and I just have them here in the environment. I'm not even going to try and touch him with it yet, and I'm bringing that food to his nose, and he's not really too concerned with these right now. But again, I've spent a little bit of time prior to today working him with this. He showed a little bit of interest. He touched his little nose to that, and then I rewarded him again. So it's just getting them comfortable. I'm going to start now and just put this on his paw. Yes, and I can reward. Good job. So I'm marking the moment with a yes when I'm touching him. Yes, good boy. If this is a little bit stressful for your dog, or they're feeling a little bit anxious about it, don't try and do this too much. Maybe get 5 or 6 kibbles from their morning, and just work it a little bit at a time. The problem is, what we often do is we get into a mindset of, I need to do this all at once. Again, this is over the next couple of weeks. Getting your dog comfortable with 1, the environment, 2, the equipment, and then 3, with you actually trimming their nails. We've had a number of students in the past, and actually a few of my friends as well, that ask, my dog hates it when their nails are trimmed. How do we get them more comfortable with it? Often what has happened is they go right away to clipping the dog's nails. They may have even cut the quick. Then it's a little bit more of a process trying to get them comfortable again. But your dog's going to let you know when they're comfortable with it if we don't push it too far. Like I said, just having this out in the environment right now may be enough for some of the dogs. They may go investigate it on their own. He's not showing a big deal to it, but I'm going to yes and reward him. Luckily, he is quite food motivated, so I'm using that as my advantage. and then I would touch him just with this, and I can feed him at the same time. If I had someone helping me, they could be feeding him as I'm moving this on his paws. But again, if they're very stressed about this, I'm not pushing it very far. Maybe 1 or 2 treats, put it away, then bring it out again in about a half an hour or so. Little steps for your dog is going to get you to the point where you can just pick up their paw, trim the nail right away, and have them comfortable with it. I want you to think about this too as a building confidence exercise in your dog. And sometimes it's about building confidence in you as well. Often handlers can be quite uncomfortable trimming their dog's nails. But if you work through the process of, again, think about, I'm going to take my time until my dog's ready to have their paws in one, at least just be comfortable, again, with the touch, with the sound, and with the equipment. Continuing that confidence for you and your dog is going to make this a much easier situation over time. But that's the big thing you need to think about. I'm going to take my time with this. I'm not going to push it too far. If my dog's confident with me taking that trimmers and bringing it close, it's going to make it much easier for your dog 2, 3, 4, 10 years down their life. So again, if we spend a little bit more time now having the dogs confident, it's going to be much easier for you and your dog in the long run. We've taken the time to get our dogs quite comfortable with our touch. We've taken the time to get our dogs quite comfortable with the equipment. I've got my clippers there. I've got a pair of scissors here too. But it's also important to get your dog comfortable with the sound. Now, my clippers don't make much of a sound, but you may be using a Dremel or just even the scissors here. A little bit of sound can be a little bit interesting. Yes, good job. But if you're having your dog get comfortable with just about that sound and associating that sound with something good, and for him it's either chewing on this little bone or getting a treat, yes, good job. That builds their confidence. You may have to take a little bit more time moving your dog forward, again, depending on their confidence. I'm making that sound right now. He absolutely has no interest in it whatsoever, which is now I can say I'm going to move on a little bit and touch it against his paw and make that sound. So if your dog is triggered by a little bit of noise, and this will be good to show you as well, I've got a little bit of spaghetti here. He's going to find this interesting for a second. I'm just going to reward him over here for ignoring the spaghetti. But this little group of spaghetti here is about the consistency of most young dogs' nails. And they can get used to that little sound of the clippers. You can also get used to how it feels to clip their nails. Yes, good job. So we're making a little bit of a mess on the floor. That's no big deal. I clip that, and then I'm rewarding him. And then what I'm going to do now is actually clip it a little bit closer to his paw. Yes, good job. That's it. So he's still settled here. I'm going to keep rewarding him with the treats. I got some good assortment of treats with me. One of the times I wouldn't be treating right now, I'm giving him a pretty steady flow of treats. My hands on his paws. If he was really protesting and wiggling, I'd spend a little bit more time just getting him comfortable with me holding him. Once he's settled, I'd go back to rewarding. I want to reward the settling my dog's comfortable, versus rewarding the franticness or a little bit of anxiety or anticipation of something. Once he's settled, that's when those treats come back out. I can use that body and collar hold if I need to, or again, just hold him where he gets a little bit more comfortable with my hands on him. When he settles in, going back to the treats. And now we're going to move on and trim some nails. And I'm only just going to take off just the smallest piece. I'm not trying to get a whole clean job done. I'm just getting, again, used to it. Make a little clip. Yes, good job. He could care less at this point, obviously. He would rather have that food. Good job. I'm going to just trim one more. Oops. I'm going to just hold that paw because he was trying to get away a little bit. But again, I want him just comfortable with that it's not a big deal. That sound was a little louder than the last time. I'm going to continue to reward it, make it a valuable for him to stay with me. If your dog's a little bit anxious, you might want to stop there for the first time, maybe revisit this in a half an hour or so. Now, if you feel that your dog's pretty steady and comfortable still, I'm going to go try one more. He's pulled away a little bit, so I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to just take his paw again. I'm going to let him get a little bit more comfortable with me holding that paw. I don't want to grab it and force him. Again, I want to have him trust me that this is the best thing for him. So I'm going to go back now. He's settled. I'm going to reward him with a little bit more food. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to trim this one nail, and then I'm going to give it a little break so he doesn't get stressed about it. Oops, that's it. So he protested a little bit there with his voice. I'm just going to pet him now. You can clearly see I didn't cut too much away. This is all I'm actually cutting up here. You can see these little pieces of nail. That's all that's coming off my dog right now. Not much at all. He made that little sound because he wasn't quite comfortable with it. So I'm going to hold him until he settles. I'm going to reward him a few more times. And then we're going to take a little break from this because I don't want him stressed about the sound, about the clippers, or about my hands on his paws. It's extremely important to end on a win. You could see he was struggling there with that last little trim on that third nail there. He was protesting a bit and pulling away. I firmly held it. Was able to get it trimmed, no problem, but I'm not going to push it past that. You may not get that far today. Don't feel disappointed by that. It may just be bringing out the equipment. It may be finding that room where your dog can settle. It may just be working through a little bit of distraction with those pieces of equipment out, or it may be at the point where you're working that sound or that touch with these. Wherever you are at today with your dog where they're comfortable, end on that win and then set it aside for the next day or later on in that day. Again, it's important that you're building in the confidence of your dog, not about just getting the tasks done. Today we're working on nail trimming, getting our dog comfortable in the environment and with the new equipment. But what we were also really working was building on relationship, trust, and leadership. The thing that about with all this equipment is once my dog we've built that strong relationship and he sees me as a leader and he trusts me, all this nail trimming and everything else with your dog training becomes much easier. If you want to find out more about building a relationship with your dog, check out that video right there. On that note, I'm Instructor Rob. This is Pontiac Bandit. Happy training.